Is it a hot take?
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a hot take, especially because easy to blame the technology for the problem, and it's difficult to think about yourself as the potential problem. So, especially if you want to innovate, it's easy to say the technology is not doing what I want it to do, but it's difficult to say, well, actually, maybe it's me not being as flexible as I should be. There's a huge tier one bank that operates globally, and they were moving from wallets to real deposit accounts, and for that they wanted to roll out local IBANs. Um, well, that project would not have to be very complex. It really depended on how they have built systems internally. So for one bank, that could be a very smooth sailing short project, but for others, that actually was something that needed an entire steering committee. If you have simple product tweaks that turn into a big project, it's called complexity task, I would say. And the reality is that complexity is a choice. If you need a steering committee to just launch a small feature, then this is not external shifts holding you back. It's actually your own design depth.
What's the most immediate change that clients feel once they start working with Mambu?
You have to get comfortable with working with real composability, and that means making the most out of your full architecture instead of keeping everything locked away in its own box. So the biggest change is the shift in mindset, and they have to get used to being more flexible and nimble because the change is constant and the possibilities with composable tech are endless. I think the most underrated benefit that customers discover is how much autonomy and nimbleness that they get from using this platform. They can now have lean teams ship products in days and not in weeks, and there's no need to re-platform or do heavy coding for projects. For example, Buut from ABN AMRO, they launched a bank targeted for the youth in under a year. And this bank was complete with IBANs, cards, budgeting, payments. Another example is Flowweed in Italy that pivoted their entire business model in just 6 months. They moved from being a challenger bank to offering payments as a service, all on the same core. So large established banks and small institutions, they can all now configure products without doing heavy coding changes. And this level of speed and flexibility is often the biggest surprise.
Banks need to innovate,
Yes.
but they also have certain risks and they need to control these risks.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me how Mambu helps?
So on the one hand, banks want to innovate indeed, but they need to manage risk and compliance at scale. And at Mumble, we understand that. Compliance controls and other trails are embedded directly into their workflows, and the platform supports real-time risk management and regulatory adaptation. At the same time, they can now launch a product in weeks instead of months or years that it can take with other providers. So they're never trading speed for safety. They can have both. For example, we have a leading lender in Australia who went live in just 1 month with personal lending, and since then, they have distributed over 1.7 million loans. Also in Germany, we have one of the largest product comparison portals, launched a full digital bank in just 14 months. Another great example is this global money transfer organization, and they recently made a new filter request on the payment service, and that was delivered within 5 hours from submission. So that's the kind of speed banks really don't expect until they see it for themselves.
What sets Mambu apart from other providers?
What sets us apart from other providers is that we're transparent from day one. We don't pretend to own every part of the stack. We show exactly where Mambu fits and where other partners should add more value. And I think that's actually our strength. It's that honesty that builds trust. And that's why our support is always available to discuss exactly what we own and what sits in the wider ecosystem. And after go live, that support continues with the customer success team. We share performance data, roadmap progress, even friction points. If something isn't working, we talk about it early and we fix it together.
How do you measure success?
Measuring success depends on how we define success, and that's customer dependent, I would say. On the one side, every customer has, well, the same goals, but on the other side, you could say success means different things. We measure success together with our customers and not in isolation. So one customer might value cost efficiency, and the other one wants to build a relationship with their end customer. Depending on these outcomes, we plot what we need to do for our customers and try to deliver that. So we have a success plan together. An example of that is a customer in Switzerland that had to, for regulatory compliance, move everything to the Swiss data residency requirements. And this customer chose to actually move everything to Mambu, have one lean system that made them more agile, compliant, and also, made the cost to serve less. So that was one big success milestone that we had together. Customers tell us over and over again that we give them the ability to launch products quicker, adapt to the market and to regulations quicker. And that's the speed that we offer to them that they cannot find anywhere else.